Merry Christmas, everyone. I don't know what's going on in your family right now. I don't know if you've just gotten up, just having breakfast, or it's time to open presents. Let me just tell you that as your pastor and loving Christmas myself, kids, if you haven't opened your presents yet and your mom and dad are holding you hostage, having you listen to this DVD, I'm not going to take very long. And if you have already opened your presents, well, I know that there are clothes to be tried on. I know that there are toys to be played with and fun to be had this day. So let me, from all of the staff here at Greenville Community Church, as your pastor, wish you a Merry Christmas. I trust last night that you had a wonderful, mysterious, worshipful time at our Christmas Eve service, and that you really did sense the joy that Christ brought to this world so many years ago on that silent night. I want to give to you a little devotional message here that has meant so much to my family and I over the past several Christmases as we've celebrated Christmas Eve and Christmas morning together. This devotional is entitled, "Who in the World Cared About a Jewish Baby Born in Bethlehem?" If you were a reporter a couple of centuries ago, in the early 1800s, if you were Wolf Blitzer or Sean Hannity or Geraldo Rivera, you would have been on evening newscasts all over the place reporting in Europe what was going on in Austria and not in places like Britain or America or anywhere else. Because you see, back in 1809 and the years following that, Napoleon Bonaparte was the intention of the entire world. He swept across Europe like a wildfire sweeping across Kansas. Nothing else was half as significant on the international scene. The broad brushstrokes on the historian's canvas gave singular emphasis to the bloody scenes of tyranny created by this small dictator from France. From Trafalgar to Waterloo, his name was a synonym for superiority and dominance. At that time of invasions and battles, babies were being born in Britain and in America. But who was interested in babies or bottles, cradles or cribs, while history was being made? What could possibly be more important in 1809 than the fall of Austria? Who cared about English-speaking infants that year when Europe was in the limelight? Somebody should have. You see, a veritable host of thinkers and statesmen drew their first breath in the year 1809. Let's look at the list. William Gladstone was born in Liverpool, England. Alfred Lloyd Tennyson began his life in Lincolnshire. Oliver Wendell Holmes cried out in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Edgar Allan Poe was a few miles away in Boston and started his brief but tragic life. A physician named Darwin and his wife called their infant son Charles Robert Darwin. Charles Winthrop wore his first diapers. A rugged log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, owned by an illiterate wandering laborer, was filled with the infant screams of a newborn baby boy named Abraham Lincoln. All that and more happened in the year 1809. But who cared? The destiny of the world was being shaped on the battlefields in Austria. Or was it? No, indeed. Only a handful of history buffs today could even name one Austrian campaign. But who can measure the impact of all of those other lives? What appeared to be super significant to the world has proven to be no more exciting than a Sunday afternoon yawn. You'll have a few of those later today, especially after that Christmas dinner. What seemed to be totally insignificant was, in fact, the genesis of a brand new era. Go back 18 centuries before that. Who could have cared about the birth of a baby while the world was watching Rome in all of her splendor? bounded on the west by the Atlantic, and on the east by the Euphrates, on the north by the Rhine and Danube, and on the south by the Sahara Desert. The mighty Roman Empire was vast and vicious. Political intrigue, racial tension, increased immorality, and enormous military might occupied everyone's attention and their focus. Palestine existed under the crush of Rome's heavy boot. All eyes were on Augustus Caesar, the cynical one who demanded a census so as to determine a measurement to enlarge his taxes. At that time, who would have been interested in a couple making an 80-mile trip from Nazareth in Galilee down to Bethlehem in Judea? What could possibly be more important than Caesar's decisions in Rome? Who cared about a Jewish baby boy born in Bethlehem? You see, God did. God cared. Without realizing it, old mighty Augustus was only an errand boy for the fulfillment of Micah's prediction. A pawn in the hand of Jehovah, a piece of lint, if you will, on the pages of prophecy. While Rome was busy making history, God arrived. He pitched his fleshly tent in the silence on straw, in a stable, under a star. The world didn't even notice. Reeling from the wake of Alexander the Great, Herod the Great, Augustus the Great, the world overlooked Mary's little lamb. And it still does today. During this Christmas season, a question that I would ask you and all of your family members: to what extent do you focus on that little baby boy, Jesus Christ, born in Bethlehem? And to what extent do you overlook him? Do you ignore him? Do you think of, well, that's just another thing that Christmas is all about, when it really truly is the thing that Christmas is about? My challenge to you today, and every day for that matter, is to celebrate Christmas in your hearts. Because if Christ hadn't come so many years ago, lowly and meek, mild and unassuming, you and I wouldn't be enjoying the life, the salvation, the joy, the peace, and most of all, the love that we know in our hearts this Christmas, or any Christmas for that matter. Merry Christmas to you, and may you fall and worship at the feet of Mary's little lamb. God bless you. All right, after that little devotional activity, let's have some questions for thought right now. First question: what significant historical activity took place the year that you were born? Now, I know that moms and dads can probably think back to that time, and if you're a child and you don't know what significant event took place when you were born, you might want to ask mom or dad. Okay, so the first question: what significant thing took place the year in history, the year that you were born? Secondly, in your opinion, what do you think Jesus did to change the course of history when he was born in Bethlehem over 2,000 years ago? And finally, what significant change came about in your life because Jesus Christ was born over 2,000 years ago? There are 3 questions to ponder, so moms, dads, children, aunts, uncles, grandkids, grandparents, whoever's in the room, why don't you take a minute to answer those 3 questions. Shh, don't talk to anybody, don't tell anybody. I got Pastor David's gag gift right here, and I'm headed through the church and trying to find a place to hide it. One more activity, one more thing for you as a family to do. First of all, mom or dad, somebody who is older in the room, read the passage Luke 2, verses 1 through 7, okay? Luke 2, 1 through 7. And then here's a little family activity you can do. Here's what you're going to need. Go find paper, pencils, crayons, markers, whatever you can to write with, okay? And here's what I want you to do. After you read Luke 2, 1 through 7, discuss amongst yourself all of the things that might have been going on in and around Bethlehem because of the first census that would have been taken, and all of the crowded conditions and all of the things that were happening in Bethlehem in and around the time that Joseph and Mary came and that the baby Jesus was born. Oh no, I think I hear Pastor David coming. One more family activity. Imagine that you're a reporter for the Bethlehem Herald, and so if that's the case, either draw or print a headline for a newspaper, illustrate it, or make a headline for the Jerusalem or the Bethlehem Herald for the day after Christ was born. And so imagine what illustration you would put, what you would draw, what thing would show up in a paper, and imagine what a headline would say in the Bethlehem Herald the day after Christ was born. Oh no, here comes Pastor Dave.